rise up. I have a 7-year-old son. I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell him before we get into a boat. We're going to be on the water for about 2.5 hours. Even if you don't think you got to go, maybe just try, because I don't like cleaning pee out of boats. Our porta potty's back there, running water sink over here. If you feel good, stand up, take your paddle, put it in by where your feet just were, and then we're going to help each other carry our boats down. Red one is theirs.
Could you take the back of this Pungo with me?
Sure.
That one's yours. That one. Hey, cool. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Before you go, I'm gonna have you raise your paddle above your head, do a little balance check. Yeah. Does that feel steady?
Yeah, pretty good.
Come on, over here in front of me.
Okay.
Make sure you're close enough. And don't lean over. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Here we go. Everybody's grabbing on. All right. So we're going to do this every time we stop. All right. So we call this rafting up. This will help me control your grip.
We're making it!
I can tell the fish population is doing much better in the Chicago River because of the populations of fish that eat birds. They're going up, right? It used to be just 5 years ago, we only had like 1 or 2, maybe 3 fish eating birds. Now, throughout the year, the Chicago River supplies enough fish and home for 5, 6, maybe 7 fish-eating bird species. So that means there's more fish for them to eat, but that also means there's enough space for them to nest. blah 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 Asian carp. It's a misnomer. All carp are from Asia. All carp species come from Asia. Some are introduced, which means they're not harmful to the environment. Others are invasive, which means they are harmful to the environment. Where are you guys from? Oh, okay. And what brings you here today then? Cool. Yay. That's Victoria's here. I'm working. What brings you guys together? Oh, that's the grad party. Where did you graduate from? Oh, DePaul. Nice. Congratulations. With a major in what? What?
Yeah.
Did you say user experience?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Have you ever used a website?
I've never used a website, no.
So you might get frustrated using websites and being like, oh, I can't do this. It's really, like, just really shitty process. It's my job to make it user-friendly.
What a concept. What a world we live in. 2021. Holy cow. Well, that's fun. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I
Gunnar
hope.
graduated too.
Who did?
Gunnar.
Oh, Gunnar. And what did you do, Gunnar?
Communications and the minor in documentary film.
Oh, that's cool. Who are some of your favorite documentarians?
I really love Ken Burns. The
Okay.
more boring, the better.
Hey, as we go under this bridge, check out here those clay pot things where the steel meets the cement. That's why we're not getting bit by bugs. They're called cliff swallows, and they're insectivores. They're flying around getting the bugs that are biting us. You can see their little babies poking their heads out waiting for a nice meal.
Do they make those themselves?
They do this. They suck in mud, and then they just spit it onto the cement there. It's similar to the way a paper blossom makes its nest. Blossoms do the same thing.
I'll get some more. Yeah.
So he's like, hey, if there was only a way that I could let people know what I have, and then they could tell me what they want, and I could just mail it to them. Ding! He invented the world's first mail order catalog, the Montgomery Ward catalog. So he needed a warehouse to store all of his space. This building behind me was the result of that. He hired an architect by the name of Louis Sullivan. He was the founder of the Prairie style of architecture. If you've ever heard of Frank Lloyd Wright, he was Louis Sullivan's most famous student. I won't bring him up anymore because he doesn't have any buildings on the river. So Louis Sullivan was the originator of the idea that context must be brought into consideration before pen hits paper. You can't just draw a cool building and slap it down wherever, right? They had just finished digging this canal. He's like, hey, why don't we have the building hug as close as it possibly can be to the river? And that's why it's got that perfect curve to it, right? Perfectly mirroring the canal that they had just dug. They completed this building in 1905. So this is a really great example for me of the concept of prairie in the name of the architecture school, right? When we look at this building, our eyes are drawn across by that long horizontal brickwork, right? It's actually connected to the building next door via an underground tunnel. And the cool thing about Montgomery Ward is that he really believed in equality amongst his employees. That's why when you look at this building, the corner window is the smallest in the whole building. He didn't want there to be a stereotypical corner office for his employees to argue over. So it's got the smallest window in the building, and it's more or less open concept for the majority of this building. When it changed hands, when Montgomery Ward fell in hard times, new owners came in, they found a huge locked safe in the basement. And they're like, oh boy, old Monty left us some gold, some cash, jewels, right? Maybe some fine wine or scotch. Well, they blew it open and found nothing inside but roller skates. That was Montgomery Ward's way of expediting. He gave them to all of his employees so that they could skate from one side of the building back and forth that much quicker, right? Pretty cool. So my favorite thing about Montgomery Ward, though, is thanks to him that we have the beaches in Chicago. He owned all of the property from 59th Street all the way up to what is now Navy Pier. And he did not want there to be any industry there, right? When you think about it, there's no buildings to the east of Lakeshore Drive in that span except for beaches and public spaces, right? But the people were furious with him at that time. They wanted the steel mills, the refineries, all these industries that were popping up at that time. But he said, no, someday the people of Chicago are going to get their act together. They're going to clean up this lake, clean up the beaches, and people from all around the world will be able to come and enjoy them, regardless of the color of your skin, what you believe in, or how much money you have, right? But the people of Chicago were furious. They wanted those jobs. They were originally going to name Grant Park Ward Park, but there was a protest. So when he passed away, he left all of that name in a public trust to the people of Chicago. So it is at this time that I always like to say, thank you, Montgomery Ward, one for you, one for me, one for the river. Oh, and hey, one more thing about those Irish. I like to say that all these, according to legend, according to the story, these guys would work like 6 days a week, just digging, right? It becomes muscle memory in a way. And the legend is that their wives would wake up and the guy's nights off, their husbands would be jamming. Just paddle on your left. Big boat coming. Will honk at us. And load in. Those guys that are starving.
What makes it so special? Well, right over there is the site of the first hotel, tavern, and drugstore in the city of Chicago. It's basically the birthplace of the city itself, right? It's called the Sauganash Inn. So if you ever see the word Sauganash written somewhere, it is in reference to that complex. Oh, you do? Okay, yeah, it's a neighborhood in the city. Awesome. So it's named after that. Why is it called Wolf Point? Well, believe it or not, there used to be a pretty healthy wolf population in the city of Chicago. And it makes perfect sense, right? We got plenty of water, huge lake over there. I already talked about how all the waterfowl are nesters on the ground. We used to have river otters, beavers, muskrats, fox, coyotes, all these things that wolves can eat, right? Not exactly good for business for a burgeoning metropolis though, right? So the legend is that the barkeep. So hey, folks, Jet, Brady, Gunner, Kayla, William, Elliot, Jessica, Victoria, Tony, John, and Riley.